Hello, friends. How are you all? I am your favorite host, Sharath, and today we will meet two esoteric giants who have delved deep into the world of the spirit. Today's show is called Expounding, Attuning to the Quantum, and this show is about the Oracle Wisdom Quantum cards created by these masters of love. We shall discuss today about these cards, their purpose of creation, and how to tune into the quantum field and use these cards to empower oneself and much, much more. Let's meet these quantum masters and creators of these oracle cards who will truly expound today about what attuning to the quantum is all about. My first guest is an actress, a world famous quantum astrologer, lecturer, and a master shaman initiated in Peru by the Kiro master shamans. She's the author of the revolutionary and world famous book, Astrology for Enlightenment. Crying through Lee Carroll said in a public channeling in Laguna Beach, November 29, 2009, that she is a master astrologer, the first one to bring quantum astrology to this planet. When not traveling the world, teaching, reading, lecturing, and being herself and being compassionate is what she does. She lives in France, Finland, and Arizona, shuttles between these beautiful places. So let me welcome my gorgeous guest, Michelle Karen, to my show. Welcome, Michelle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much, Art. I'm really
Thank you,
excited.
thank you, Singh. I will come back to you again, but let me introduce, friends, my second guest. All right, so here's the surprise. My second guest is an energetic reader, visual interpreter of energy, and also a painter of quantum esoteric mandalas on beautiful rocks. He calls them the rock people. He's also a divinely inspired artist, quantum designer, and a wonderful quantum channel who uniquely blends a natural stone with an original hand painted mandala drawn from the quantum field. A child at heart, a witty guy, humorous person, his artistic expressions are interpretations of energy flowing directly from Mother Earth or Gaia. He is the author of the Gaia Lit, a unique blend and integration between a natural stone and a hand painted energy symbol called a mandala, inspired by the earth's elements themselves. So let's welcome the hunk and the handsome hero and energetic guest and painter of the mandalas, Daniel Thurston Yak. Daniel, how are you doing today? And welcome to Expounding, Attuning to the Quantum.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure having both of you, the lovely actress and the wonderful actor. I'm just kidding. The energetic reader and much, much more, because both of them have such amazing traits to them that, I'm confused. But, let's go quantum. And so my question for Michelle will be that Michelle, I mean, firstly, you're looking very gorgeous in the black gown.
Thank you. Thank you. I got it from India.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's so wonderful. I mean, that brings some nostalgia back for me. And yes, we got to discuss that offline, but I'm jumping into this discussion. So, I'm so thrilled to find out about your cards, attuning to the quantum, and I've got your booklet too. So first, I was just intrigued by the name attuning to the quantum. I haven't seen any name of oracle cards as such. A fusion of cosmic and elemental energies by Daniel and Michelle. So I'm going to ask you about how did you conceive about the name and the quantum field and why quantum, why an astrologer and a mandala painter, and how did you guys come together? But just wanted to have a perspective from you both, one at a time. Tell me, Michelle, why did you choose attuning to the quantum, and what is quantum really? Because my Manu TV international viewers, I mean, they will be enthusiastic to know, and why are we delving into the world of the quantum?
Well, actually, the name, the title of the cards came from Daniel. Daniel chose that name, and I had finished writing all the astrology connected to each of the cards. But it's really Daniel who started the whole process because he had already all the rocks painted, and he will tell his story. And we met through Skype. Actually, we never met in person. So I've met Daniela every time through Skype or through Zoom. And he asked me if I wanted to write. He had the idea of this oracle deck, and he asked me if I would like to collaborate with him. And when I saw the quality of his paintings and what he did, I was ecstatic. I was like, absolutely yes. And to me, there was no doubt that this was something that needed to be done. But it really came from Daniel. Daniel is the one who started all this process. And there were even times where I was writing the cards and I thought, this is too much. I've written books. So I thought, oh, writing an oracle deck, that has to be so easy, right? Well, it was the most difficult thing to do because you have to think of questions people are going to ask and you have to make it interesting. It has to be deep. And, so I'll talk a little more about that. But I think Daniel should talk about how he started this whole process and how he came up with the name because it was his doing the name.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We'll make. I mean, I wanted this to be a very friendly chat, and delve into these cards. Just as if we are all playing around with the cards. That's when the energy will flow around, and all the millions of viewers who are watching, they'll get a feel of what these cards are about and how to get a hang of them and use them properly. So, Daniel, I mean, in your viewpoint, what is quantum, and how do you actually tune to the quantum field?
Well, in my opinion, quantum actually represents a huge field, but quantum itself, it means little. It means very, very, very small. It means so small that you can't even see it. And through the modern physics, quantum is referred to the smallest particle, actually, that exists in a field of matter and co-creates matter, but on this level, everything is oneness. Everything, there is no duality, there is nothing. They're just particles who interact with each other. And what is really, really interesting is that this, it's totally interconnected. So for example, a proton in our cell can interact with the proton on the other end of the galaxy, and they're still interconnected. They're on the level of oneness, and they actually can give you limitless possibilities, because when these particles start to form, they form into whatever they choose or wherever the direction of a conscious mind that works with them is actually wishing or referring to. So that is why, because our inner world and our inner energy interacts with everything that is around us, and there are elements that are building blocks of, for example, of a planet, and there is the planet as energy that actually supports or guides or interferes with somebody. And all these connections, all these pathways that we are living in our world are actually guided from the quantum particle, from the quantum field. So that's why this title came up. we have to attune to this oneness, to this energy that actually gives us endless possibilities to create, actually.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, that was amazing.
Danielle says, I'm sorry, I agree with what Danielle says, because quantum is really about connecting different dimensions with each other. And it's also entering the field of endless possibilities, but it's also the field of synchronicities. And we have actually pretty amazing stories of synchronicities that happen to us with the cards and with, you know, both of us. Actually, I can tell one story, at least one, because I have more than that one. But one, because when Danielle got, finally we got the box and the actual cards in our hands, and Danielle got them before I did. And his first question was, how is this deck going to do? And he pulled the card popularity. And I thought, oh, that's cool. So when I got my cards a few weeks later, I thought, well, what am I going to ask? What is going to be my first question? So I asked the same question and I got the same card. So now I'm looking at all the cards and I'm thinking, wait, they made a mistake. They sent only one card. No, they were all different. They were absolutely all different.
Such a
And then when we did the show
wow. That was
Paris, who also did a beautiful channeling for us for Stargate, from, you know, who channels Alcazar. He also pulled a card and he got the same card for us. And I'm like, oh my God, that came from 3 people now. So, and also I believe Monica, who works, you know, who is the partner of Lee Carroll, who also did a beautiful channeling of the cards, also got the same card for us. So it was like four people. That's impossible. That is statistically impossible. And yet it happened. And we have so many stories like that that happen with those cards. They're just amazing. I'm amazed, yes. Even though we created them together, I'm still amazed at these cards.
Yes, the quantum field really responds on the intention of the person who wants to ask a question, actually. And actually, we have a proof because we experienced it from so many people that they tuned in into the same energetic. It's amazing. It's really amazing.
Wonderful. Yes. You know, I think I can feel, you know, a lot of people tune in and, you know, I mean, there is a different wave today. Though we started a bit late, but started on a very positive note. And everything, all the elements came together. I think all the stars aligned because the star of the stars is Michelle Karen. She is the quantum astrologer. And the flower on earth is Daniel because he paints the mandalas on the rocks. I mean, such a wonderful confluence of sorts both of you are. Before I delve into these cards, we're going to talk about the cards. Tell me about your association. How did you guys get to know each other, and when did you actually start discussing about these cards? Did you guys start another project and jumped into this one, or what was the motive? I think it was Michelle. When I was talking to her sometime, but I want Michelle. I want you to elaborate on how you met Daniel, your association, your friendship, and how these amazing channeled co-created cards and energies and beauties of existence came onto this planet through you guys. You guys channeled this. You guys gave your heart into it. Tell me a little bit of story about how you met Daniel and how did you guys go from there?
I never actually met Daniel in person, but Daniel knew of me because he works and collaborates with Stargate, Pragit Harris and Julianne. And I am part of the Crayon team, so I also travel with Lee Carroll, or I used to before the lockdowns. And so we knew, I mean, Daniel knew of me, and he one day connected with me to get the reading. And during the reading, he started telling me about what he does and his cards. And I was interested, but I mean, a lot of people do a lot of wonderful things, but that doesn't mean that, it's going to be a collaboration. And after when I asked him, to send me a card, and he did, I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away by the beauty and the precision and the magic and the power of his designs. Because if you have ever tried to paint on rocks, and I did, it's so difficult. So I don't even know.
Really? Uh, Definitely, I'm going to learn it from Daniel as well, how to paint on the mandala. Because, I never considered myself a painter, but I'll try.
And to do it with such precision, with such detail, with such beauty and power and understanding. I mean, those cards are stunning, all of them.
My first card that I picked today, definitely we'll talk about this, but certainly it came loving friendship. So probably even, I think there are no accidents, Daniel, right? I think it's a
Well,
loving friendship between all three of us.
I got the same, and I also got passionate, enthusiastic feeling. So I got those two for today. So anyway, so Daniel is talking to me about his card, and he said, "Well, I had the idea of having making an oracle deck," and I said that would be a wonderful idea. Looking at his chart and all that. And he said, "Well, I was looking for somebody who could do the text part of the cards." And after the reading, he said, "Well, I think you would be a perfect fit. Would you be interested in collaborating with me?" And I've had many people ask me for collaboration for this or that, and I'm quite, picky on that. But when it came to this card, it was like absolutely yes, not a doubt, not a feeling that nothing. It was absolutely yes. But it was all Daniel's idea because he started with those beautiful designs, and then he had the idea of the oracle deck. He came up with the title of the cards, and I did the text. And when it came to the text, I was trying to figure out because when Daniel explained to me the process of how he creates those rocks and those paintings, which he will be sharing with you, I thought those rocks are painted in such an organic manner. They're so connected to the elements. He channels this information. It is such magic. There's so much magic. And I felt that what needed to correspond to that was the planets in the elements. And that gives also very profound interpretation because this is not stuff I just got out of my hat, which I don't even have a hat, but it was about, connecting to something that exists in nature, and the planets are living bodies, have wisdom. All the planets have, specific archetypes, correspond to certain aspects of our lives. And the elements are the sort of mode of transmission of that. So there are 4 elements in astrology: fire, which is enthusiasm, water, which is feelings, earth, that is grounding, and air, that is the mind, the intellect. And if you multiply 10 planets multiplied by 4 elements, you get 40 cards, and then plus 4 that were just the elements. So pure fire, pure earth, pure air, pure water. And that was actually, from an astrological point of view, this was also an unusual approach because normally you would look at a planet in a sign, not a planet in an element. The element is secondary because there's not just 4 elements in astrology, there's also 3 modes of transmission of the energy of the elements. So cardinal, which is dynamic, moving forward, fixed, that is stable, and mutable, that is changeable. So within an element, there are 3 signs, and one is cardinal, one is fixed, one is mutable. And the energy of fixed fire, for example, Leo, is very different from the energy of mutable fire, which is Sagittarius, or cardinal fire, which is Aries. So the challenge I personally encountered was how to integrate all these aspects, all these different, elements, explain Venus in fire, integrating cardinal, fixed, and mutable, and making it something that's not made up, but that corresponds to something very real. And that's where the challenge came for me. And that's why it was so difficult to actually write the text of these cards. And I have to really give a lot of gratitude to Daniel, because he never pushed me. He was always very, very, I wouldn't say nurturing, but he was very supportive of the process I was going through. And eventually we used the lockdown, at least I did, and used my lockdown in a productive way, because all of a sudden I wasn't traveling. All of a sudden all my conferences stopped, because we did this last year. We started a year ago. And all of a sudden I had none of the hecticness of my life was gone. So I had plenty of time, and now I could focus on the cards, and which is what I used my confinement to do.
Wow, 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 wow. What a fun story you related to us, Michelle. I mean, you started with one intention, but it kind of transitioned into something beautiful, like your, I think the field responded to both of your intentions, but I get that, Daniel came up with this idea. I mean, I was not aware of that. I'm learning this in this show myself. So that's wonderful. Maybe you might have told me, but I think good that I forgot, because now I'm enjoying the story more than ever. That you guys, he came up with the idea, and then you fused your ideas into something beautiful, and now you have a story to tell. I mean, that's really sweet of him, that he took care of details, and collaborated things with you, and went back and forth with creating different mandalas, and probably even given ideas about the symbols. And because he's the master of symbols, I think the astrological symbols are yours, but the mandalas are his forte. So the messages I'm seeing: loving, friendship, and this. I mean, per se, suppose I'm taking a card like this, loving friendship, and I'm showing it to everybody. I just want to ask again, before delving into these cards, finding out how to use these cards, a little bit more of the history from Daniel, because I want to know his version too. Because I love both of your wit and humor, both Michelle and Daniel, friends. I mean, though they are giants in their profession, but they've got such sense of humor, and that's what rubs on me all the time. I take their energy. I mean, we had a discussion before as well, but sitting with them was like breeze. I mean, absolute pleasure. Talking was like a cozy conversation. If in winter it is like sitting near a hearth rug, if in summer it's like going to a cold spot like Himalayas or somewhere and having a cool conversation. Very beautiful, very beautiful. But these guys are giants and very knowledgeable and experts and subject matter experts in their own ways. And I got to tell more about Daniel too, and Michelle as well, because Daniel, he was a visual designer. I think that's and a graphic designer also. So he
I
used
still
to.
am, yes.
Hmm?
I still am. a graphic and a visual designer. You said both. I am.
You still are. Oh, great, great, great. So you still are into that, but your profession, your predominant one is the mandalas, right?
Yes, yes. I mean, visual art interpretation in a way that actually goes beyond the everyday mind. So it is helping you to get into a different mindset when you observe this kind of visual interpretations of energy, you know. And it's a beautiful process all the time because every symbol, even if I'm painting a symbol of fire, there is never the same symbol of fire ever in the stone because the fire has so many facets that it can be like drawn for a lifetime and you can always come up with something new. And the same is with water, the same is with the air and the earth, you know. And this is why I'm so excited to do that, because it reminds me on life itself, you know. Every moment in life can be very similar to the previous moment, but they're never the same. And also these paintings, they're never the same. They're interpretation of the energy, and also the stones are different. And this all communication with the element, with the stone as a native, oldest inhabitant of Earth, so to say. You know, all of this is interacting in a way that it cannot be repeated in the same way ever. It can just be put in a slightly different way again and again. Yeah. So that's what I love in this process.
Wonderful. I learned another thing from you that I had a vague idea that you were a visual artist. I mean, you were a graphic designer. You were into visual VB or all those things and computers and stuff. But basically, I'm learning from you that essentially everything is energy. So you can interpret anything around. So you have got the knack now of, seeing anything and figuring out what the energy is. And I love that. I love the way you said that. You were talking about the elements of earth like fire, earth, and water, and ethers, and all that, and especially the rocks which we have painted on as the mandalas. And so my audience definitely would, before we go into these cards and the name of the cards and many other details, because these are also saying a fusion of celestial and elemental energies. The moment I saw celestial, I thought this is the mischief of Michelle, and then she then she explained me about you, and then that's how we are here today in this show. But was very fascinated always by the mandalas, but never understood. It was like very cryptic for me. I could not understand. I can only appreciate it like a modern art or something, because it never made any sense to me before. I never tried to demystify it either, because I was not too much into the mandalas. But after I met you, and that's how I think things become deep in you. Unless you associate with someone who's an expert or something like that. I don't know, maybe it was synchronistic. I have no clue how, what exactly that event for me is, but very, we are all excited and enthusiastic to know what is a mandala, and what exactly it is, what is the energy of it, and just give us the rudiments of that, so that all of them who will use these cards will get benefited.
Okay, so the mandala is a word that actually comes from Sanskrit, and it means a circle, and it represents the perfect shape, actually. So because it represents the perfect shape, it's a circle. It represents also the wheel of life, where it never ends, it never begins. It is always ongoing, everlasting, and it is interconnected with everything. So the mandala was the perfect intuitive choice for me when I wanted to actually start painting the elements. And painting the elements was the deep need to honor the energy of earth, you know. So when I started to figure out how to represent the element of fire or water, the mandala was a first intuitive choice because I knew that I have to go from the center and I have to build it to the borders. So the mandala is also a picture that is multidimensional, and it can represent multiple dimensions, because in multiple dimensions everything is actually corresponding with everything. Everything is the same. You don't have front or back. For example, if the master, I don't know, if some angels or some divine masters come as a vision to a circle of people, and this master comes in and he looks everybody into the eyes in the same times, how is this possible? If he looks just, you know, your eyes can meet just with the person that are opposite of you, not the person that is behind of you. But if the master comes, everybody can look into these eyes in the same moment. So how is this possible? It's possible on a different dimension where space and time are differently perceived. So the mandala is a representation of this energetic, you know, that from the left, from the right, from the top, from the bottom, everything actually is in harmony and represents the same energetic flow. So, but when I started to paint, I just wanted to interpret the specific elements, but then later on I started to combine the elements together, you know. And then this was when I realized that not only the four elements are actually on the in the mandala, but also the fifth element, the ether, the space, because the space is the organizer. The space is the force that brings all the other elements into specific positions that interact with each other, you know? So I realized that by painting it as a mandala, I also include the fifth element into that. And then these mandalas became personalized because many people wanted to have and have painted their own personal individual energy that would connect them to their own source connection and to their own higher self. So I started to actually combine this also, and then I realized that we are together, we are building the sixth element, which is the consciousness of a person connecting through the energies of the earth and building, embodying something new, actually. This new energy that is now all around us in these times, coming in, you know, through this interaction with nature, with earth, through the symbols that can actually resonate with you subconsciously. You don't even have to think consciously about it, but something happens, some energy transmission is present when you are observing the mandalas. And also Alcazar said, this guide from the Stargate, when you draw a card, first look at the picture and look at it for several seconds, maybe minutes, how long you feel. And then something happens with your energy field that is that is then able or capable to soak in the message that is also divine, you know, because it is the combination of the elements and of the celestial bodies in a specific way that also comes really, really deep. So the visual opens your energy field, then the words sink in, and then you exactly know what the message for you is. Maybe it's just one sentence, but you will realize it, you will feel it, and you will know what it is. So these are the doorways actually into the quantum field, into this oneness to observe the card, to hear the message, to have your intention, what you want to work on, and everything comes together as a sixth element, as a new embodied human, just for a moment, maybe, but it's enough if you know how to make a new step. So the mandala itself, as you hear, is the only possible shape for all of this to be integrated. And I didn't know it when I started, but it came intuitively. And then ever from this moment, I had this really strong confirmation every moment that this is the way and this is the thing to do in this way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. And what a beautiful explanation about the mandalas and how you connect and how you bring them from that multidimensional world on in the three dimensions onto your rock people. And you really rocked it, Daniel. You really rocked it. You really rocked the way you have painted and selected the rocks. Different kind of eclectically chosen rocks are mind blowing. Seriously, I mean, some of my friends, they saw your cards and then they were like taken aback that wow, what a spectacle it is and what lovely cards and I mean, they're so elegant. I mean, even the back of them and even the front of it.
The back of the card actually was Michel's idea, bringing in the symbolic of the Neptune, because Neptune is a planet that is connected to intuition, and if you have this symbol on the back of the cards that you actually see when you shuffle, you see this, and then you shuffle, but you're always connected with the four Neptune symbols that are placed in the back like a mandala again, because they go in all four directions. You subconsciously tune in with your intuition, and then you know which card actually to draw in the specific moment. So that's why we have the Neptune behind it.
Amazing.
Because Neptune is the planet of the invisible, of the music of the spheres, of everything of mystical nature, everything that has to do with meditation, everything that is intangible. So it connects us with higher spheres of consciousness. But I have to say, when I said just the symbol of Neptune, I have to say Daniel did something extraordinary with it. I think it's brilliant that he put four of them, creating a circle, and then he put all the symbols of the planets and all the symbols of the elements at the top and at the bottom against the starry night. So it's just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Wonderful.
And I have to say that also in terms of creating the deck, because I really, was also, I did not know all this story of how Daniel chooses the rocks, talks to the rocks, meditates on them, puts them on the side, then starts to, so I had no idea of all that story. All I saw was the pictures that he sent me that were stunning. And when it took me like several months just to figure out how am I going to write this. So I was dreaming on it, I was meditating on it, I was trying to find the entrance door for the text that would go with those cards and accompany and support those cards. And what came to me is that I wanted it as the I Ching, the oracle of the ancient Chinese book of transformation. And I love the I Ching. I've used the I Ching since I was in my early 20s. And it's a bit of an interesting book because it doesn't use cards, it uses sticks. And with those sticks, you ask a question, you divide the sticks, and you get, a yin or yang little line. And then you get an hexagram, and from that hexagram, you get an interpretation. And that interpretation is not always quite straightforward. You have to really, it's quite a process to ask a question to the I Ching. So You have to have a notebook, you have to write a question, you have to write elements of the answer, and then you will come to a deep understanding of what the right course is for you. And I wanted the text to be very similar to that. So, because I wanted it not just as an oracle, which it is, so it answers all sorts of questions, and we will go into the questions, but I also wanted the cards to be a tool for self-transformation and a tool of wisdom, a book of wisdom, because there's so much wisdom in astrology, and I've been an astrologist since I'm 14 years old. I've done this all my life. And I'm still today amazed at the wisdom of astrology. Like, for example, Venus represents love and money. And usually what's going on in our financial life is very parallel to what is going on in our love life. Jupiters represent actors and politicians. Well, we are kind of seeing what's going on right now. So, and for example, in astrology, love, sexuality, and marriage are completely in different areas of a birth chart, which is a picture of the heavens when someone was born. And that makes sense. You can have sex with somebody you don't love and won't marry. You can marry somebody you don't love or don't have sex with, or you can be in love with somebody you marry. I mean, it doesn't all go necessarily together. It should, but not always. And the idea was that so to divide, and I hesitated with that because there is, and I think in our circles we want to be always as positive as possible. And I was hesitating whether to put also the negative, and it was more not so much in terms of negative, but more in terms of caution, in terms of challenges, in terms of pay attention to this. Everything is not pink and happy and peachy and wonderful all the time, and we do go through challenges, especially now that the world is going pretty crazy. And it's not necessarily to scare anybody, but it's to be aware, because I think light and darkness go together. Darkness defines light. And if we can look at both and harness them together, then we are going to be stronger moving forward. And so the way to use those cards, you can ask questions, but you can also use it for personal growth. So for example, and that was Daniel's idea, which I thought was brilliant. So he put, I wanted the cards because I thought his designs were so stunning. I didn't want a lot of shishi around it. I really wanted the cards to be very pure so that what we see is the rock painting. I think that was absolutely important. And so what we did was just put the symbol, the astrological symbol. So for example, in this one, logical reasoning, it's Mercury, the symbol of Mercury in air, and the symbol of air, because also the symbols, the astrological symbols, carry a very specific meaning, and they touch our subconscious in a very specific way. The half circle represents the soul, the circle represents the spirit, the cross represents Mother Earth. So they're not randomly put together. They all have a meaning. And if one is on top of the other or in between, or, it all means something. And Danielle's idea was to put a rim around so that we would recognize with different colors, so that we would recognize very quickly, even somebody with zero knowledge of astrology could recognize very quickly that all the air cards are in silver, all the earth cards are surrounded by a green rim, all the water cards are surrounded by blue, and all the fire cards by orange. And the idea was that you could use also those cards as a tool for meditation by focusing first on the mandala, because that's really the entrance door before we even get to the text, and as Danielle very rightly said, but that, for example, if you want to work on success, which is corresponds to the sun, then you would look at the sun in all the different elements, and you could use, you know, have a notebook and say, okay, I want to develop more success in my life. So, and go through all the text and the images of the sun in the different elements and take notes of what is relevant, what am I already living, what should I be careful of, what are maybe challenges that I'm experiencing, how can I enhance certain qualities that I'm not using very well or much, or that I don't really acknowledge in myself. So that it becomes really your companion and you can work on different elements. Or if the issue is love, then you would look at Venus. If the issue is communication, you would look at the Mercury cards. And all this is explained in the little booklet that comes, of course, with the cards, and that explain all the different uses and what you can do. And there's so many more uses that
This one.
maybe Danielle has something to add to what I just said.
Wonderful, 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 Michelle. I'm like thrilled again. You know, I mean, every time you guys are talking, I feel like, you know, I should just sip my Coca-Cola, eat my popcorn, and listen to you guys. I mean, so soothing to my ears, seriously, and especially your story. So that's why I wanted to go into Daniel's story a bit as well. How did such genius come from a visual design? How, just a little bit of history before we go into these cards. But thank you, Michelle, for talking about, you know, the back of the cards and the symbols, and low. I didn't realize that the symbols on the top, they had colors. I was just fascinated by the messages and the mandalas, but I didn't realize that one was red, the other one is black or gray, the other one is green, the other one is blue, and now I know what they are. You know, I mean, now all the Mana TV audience, whoever will purchase these cards and use them for the optimum benefit of their life, you know, now they will know, you know, how many you know, minuscule details are embedded in that, and you know, how wonderfully, how deliberately, how beautifully you guys have put everything together. I mean, I'm amazed. Seriously, I'm literally in amazement because this is the first time I'm learning about the cards in such detail, and I'm feeling that there's an honor for me and a privilege that I'm talking to you guys, interviewing you guys is a breeze to me. As I said, very wonderful. I mean, it's heartwarming, and the way you said that, uh, everything has to make sense. You know, maybe for me, somebody who's a layman and who will not understand the symbols in the back of the cards too, or even in the front, as even the mandalas, I may not be able to see the pattern, but at least, you know, now people know that, you know, there is a higher purpose to these cards, and the patterns become evident the more quantum we become, right? I mean, I think that's, I mean, such a wonderful title, Attuning to the Quantum. And we'll go more deeper into that, because, you know, this is becoming a more juicier conversation, right? I mean, I cannot wait to ask.
You're a funny story, because I sent those cards to a friend of mine, and she opened the cards, and then she wrote to me and she said, Michelle, she said, how did you manage to put perfume in those cards? I said, what? What are you talking about? And she said, well, when I opened the box, because the box is shrink wrapped, she said, well, when I opened the box, there was this very distinct smell of sandalwood, like very distinct, like incense, very beautiful. And when she said that, I said, you know, I have noticed that too, actually. Whenever I use those cards, it's like incense is coming out of them. And I don't know, Danielle, but we never put perfume into the cards. So this is really the energy of the divine that is coming through those cards. I mean, they have absolute magic contained in them, and it's coming out as divine perfume.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was just wondering that, I mean, this is really a quantum endeavor, because, this is a small deck, and I'll ask my viewers not to get deceived by the size. I mean, it need not be astronomically large, but
Yes.
beautifully packed quantum wisdom cards inside a wonderful box, a beautiful box. Everything, I think, has been orchestrated in a quantum way, right? Daniel, do you agree with me?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted to add something when what Michelle was talking about, how this how this energy actually works, because many people could ask, how can I trust the card that I pull, for example? What about if I wasn't really present, or how do I know it's a right card? It's always doubt somewhere. And the message is that as a human being, we are determined by many, many different things. And for example, our birth date and the planetary constellation in this moment determines our astrology in this lifetime, that supports us in one way and actually tells where do we have to be cautious in another area, what to do and so. But also our beingness has this multidimensional DNA that goes into past lives and skills and abilities and everything, that is still in us, but we don't know it, we don't have the access. And then there is the connection with our higher self, actually, which is again something totally different, and when you put your intention with the questions, if you want to ask the cards something, you put your intention and your consciousness into it. Already the quantum field starts bubbling and moving around and constellating everything according to your beingness in this moment, So no worries, because your intention, your whole energetic set that spreads through universes and through lifetimes and is now represented here in this moment of time, so to say, knows everything around it, So the card that you pull is always the one that has to come in this moment, That's how everything is interacted.
So you said that there are no accidents, right? So there are no
No
accidents.
accidents. Even an accident is not an accident. Yes.
And I love what Daniel said, because the question
I like that.
answered by this oracle are, for example, what is the best attitude in this situation? How should I respond? What are my strongest character traits? What are my weaknesses? What does this situation teach me? What is my life purpose? What karma am I working on right now? And like, I was at the hairdresser the other day, and I'm talking to my hairdresser about those cards, and she says, and she was telling me about her boyfriend, or the guy she likes, but he's not her boyfriend yet, but she likes him and all that. But then she found out that there were all sorts of issues going on with him. And she said, well, I would really like him to be my friend still. I like him as a person. So even if he's not going to be my boyfriend, I still want to have him as a friend. And I said, well, let's ask the cards. I had the cards with me. And she pulls the cards, loving friendship, which is exactly what she was talking about. So I thought, wow. And then I'm sitting there in the chair and I'm thinking, oh, well, what is the meaning for me of being here? And I pulled appreciation of beauty. So I'm like, okay, I guess you go to the hairdresser because you want to look good, right? So, so all these things. I mean, it's amazing how accurate it is and how it can support us in our life choices, in decisions we have to make, and in having more clarity in moving forward. And I think especially now that there's so much confusion in the world, it's very important to be able to have such a friend or a companion on the journey.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, Michelle, because the energy of these cards are very loving, very assuring, and being even the company of these cards are like, I mean, it'll kind of calm you down when you're in anxiety or in worry or stuff. Basically, last night I was just meditating, and I was just going through these cards, and I pulled out these cards just for fun, one by one. I was reading loving friendship and passionate, enthusiastic feelings, sensitivity, quiet sensuality, and I was actually reading the whole booklet. I was going deep into it, and it's such a cute booklet too, that there's so much of information. And I was then wondering, so many questions started popping in my mind. I thought, how many questions am I going to ask this this morning, because it's overwhelming in a positive way. Beautiful energies are inside them, and I am taken aback and surprised also that I did not yet experience that, but I'm going to smell these cards, but maybe one of these days. But maybe some of the favorite smells of mine, or maybe the celestial fragrances might hit my nostrils. Probably, I mean, that was fun listening to you. That when the energy changes or things kind of become different, if you're in a different mood or if you're in a wonderful mood, even the smell of the cards change. That is astonishing, basically. I mean, that means how mysterious the energetic world, the quantum world, the multidimensional world is, as Daniel was telling. Uh, Now I'm understanding how much important faith and trust is in these things, and is so important, so vital to have faith also in these things. And slowly we will go into how to use these cards, and different methodologies as well, uh, including how you made these cards. So I'll ask one question to Daniel and come back to you, Michelle, about how you wrote these messages, and then we'll go into the technical things, how people can get benefited. That's the crux of the discussion today, right? Transforming people's lives, making a difference in people. I mean, I wanted this question to be in the middle of the session because, I wanted people to understand exactly the technical things, and then find out a little bit about you and Daniel. So I made it on deliberation. So Daniel, tell me a little bit about yourself, in the sense, I mean, now we know, now the audience also knows a little bit about the mandalas, about the quantum field, the field, something about the celestial energies that Michelle brings to the platter. You are bringing the energy of the mandalas on the rocks and spread it around. Both of you are joyful people. Tell me about, I mean, very quickly, tell me about, how did you transition from a visual designer to a visual interpreter of energy and the painter of mandalas?
Well, I think it was in me from my childhood already, because when I was a child, I always had to paint or draw what I experienced or what I heard from other people. For example, my mother was reading a book to me because I couldn't read them, and then I was just taking my pencil or my crayons and starting to draw what I heard from her, and then later on there was drawings and paintings and pictures, like a diary going through my life with me. So this kind of a visual expression was always a part of my beingness, so to say. And I also studied visual arts, which was academic and was going into more clean symbolic, maybe also. In this time, I also learned how to communicate, how to interpret dreams. For example, I was learning dream interpretation for more than 10 years. And this is also a symbolic language that we have to understand how to interpret the messages of the subconscious and be able to integrate it in our everyday life, you know? And everything was beautiful, everything was flowing, but something was missing. And I didn't know what. I didn't know what. I just knew that I have to quit everything and go into nature and walk from the source of the river to where it flows into another river or into the sea or something like that. Go to the mountain, do something with nature. And I didn't have time for that because I was always working on different projects and different things. So when I quit my job, actually there was this freedom coming in, and I could totally devote myself to the connection to the nature. And almost immediately, it was maybe 1 year after I also met the Stargate and meditated on these energies where the energies that came in actually were awakening my DNA, so to say, and accelerating my consciousness. And all came in the same moment. I was more awake, I was more free, and nature started to speak, and then it was like, wow, I should try to honor this energy, this love that I feel, this connectedness from Mother Nature. I should put my skills into honoring that. And the best canvas could be a stone because it's part of nature. If you would give me a piece of wood, which is also part of nature, I wouldn't do it. I couldn't do it. If you would give me a canvas or glass or any surface to draw on, even a stone wall is not good. Just the river stone in this shape, in this size, as this one, you see, very smooth. And this is the canvas that resonates with me, that inspires me, and I can work with. And I get messages also. There is a communication between me and the stone, and it is beyond something that I can actually explain in words. It's just a feeling that goes and flows between me and the creation that I'm in the moment. So mostly the transit happened from graphic designer to energy visual interpreter in this way that I'm doing it now, because it was my highest excitement. The graphic design was good, but this was my highest excitement. And I just wanted to honor that energy in me, and I wanted to follow it, and I wanted to see like adventure. Where is it going to bring me? Because an old saying says the path that you're walking on, if the path doesn't take care for the passenger, it's not worth walking it. So I just made this experiment. I said, this is my highest excitement. I want to walk this path, and I never regretted it. And the transit was really natural and really beautiful.
I can see that. I can see that in your eyes, how excited. You guys are. How you became a child. I kind of listened to Bashar also. I think if you know Bashar, channeled by
Exactly.
Daryl Anka.
He's talking
Bashar is
about highest excitement. Yes.
uh,
Exactly.
highest excitement. I just remembered that, and it does resonated. And then it is validated now because you followed your passion, which sometimes a passion cannot be lukewarm. It has to be total. It has to sink into your blood and bones, and it shows in your eyes and your expressions and your grimaces also. And you become a child at heart, and I mean, you have a love affair with that particular thing, that particular passion, and I'm seeing that in you. You know, the way you were showing your rocks to the audience of Mana TV International. You know, I can see that love for rocks, love for energy. I think love for spirit. I mean, I think the words are not important, but you know, that deep reverence and that calling in you is very evident, very blatant, and I'm pretty sure, you know, all of these viewers who are watching the show, you know, they're pretty much enjoying and, you know, soaking in uh, the energies of both of you beautiful people. And before I go to the question to Michelle, because I'm going to ask about herself and the last one for this segment, because I'm going to jump into another set of questions, some fun questions which people want to know about themselves and how to use and all that. I know people are so excited to get into that technicality and how do I, you know, I mean, because people are so much uh, enthusiastic to know about themselves. You know, I mean, that's the crux of everybody. May not be in the same way, but in their own unique ways, people want to. But just tell me before, you know, because now my highest excitement is to know, why did you call them the rock people?
Well, it wasn't me who called them, but I just resonated with this because the indigenous tribes, old indigenous tribes on many continents, referred to stones as living beings, you know, and the most honoring that they could give these rocks is that they actually uh, uh, treated them like themselves, you know. So they named them the people, but the rock people, because also the stones have consciousness. The minerals and everything, as we talked before, is in the perspective of the quantum. Everything is one. So the consciousness forms into different shapes and different things, you know, and rocks are one of them. And everything that exists naturally has the consciousness of nature somehow. And we can learn a lot from this elemental Mother Earth forms that are rivers or stones or trees or anything, animals, you know. Whatever lives on this earth has energy and has consciousness, and the stone people, it is just the appreciation and the honoring of this energy in something that we perceive like that, but it is alive. And also, when I am working with the stone, there is this communication, you know, it's a communication that is beyond words, it's on a level of feeling, and the stone totally wants to tell me something. And there is a really fun story that I just remembered. I was painting the mandala that is in the card deck is representing the water card, just the element of water, you know. And it is a center that represents the clear water of a newborn spring, or deep in the deepest level of the oceans, the water is just being born. So the code, yes, this one. And the code of this pure water is actually going through concentric circles all over the planet and bringing this code of what water really is to everybody. But at the same time, there is a moon, which is a celestial body, and it is circling around this these concentric circles of water that is spreading. And when I started to paint this, I just started to paint the moon, and then I wanted to have it like a full moon, 2 half moons, and 1 new moon, you know, to represent the whole monthly cycle of the moon. And I started to paint it like clockwise, the moon, you know. And something was wrong, you know. The stone was like, no, it was like resisting this idea even, you know, and I said, what is wrong? What is so terribly wrong, you know? And I went to Google and I wanted to see if the moon is really circulating clockwise or counterclockwise. And I saw it's actually counterclockwise. So I didn't know that. But the communication with the stone was exactly telling me the forces of nature are not like that. You know, the moon is not going clockwise, it's going counterclockwise. And I had to Google it to know it, but then when I painted it counterclockwise, the phases of the moon, everything was like, now it's okay, you know, and everything clicked. So I was totally amazed because it was real, realistic teaching from the process. You know, from a simple rock to me, no, you can't go this way. You have to learn something more to go the right way. And it was beautiful, amazing.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Again, another epiphany for all the audience of Manu TV International, and especially myself. I'm having goosebumps now. When you know, I thought, I never had any idea why you called it the rock people, but the way you have explained it, I think you treat them like your brothers and sisters as well. Because the moment you said rock people, when I read rock people, I was like, it was like a transmission of a trigger point for me that, oh, I mean, how did I forget that even I'm part of nature, right? Because there is so much of separation psychology in people that, I mean, that included me too, because sometimes we go in our heads a lot. It was for me a breath of fresh air, thinking like, oh yeah, they know me and I know them. And now your unique, uncanny explanation is more heartwarming, and I'm pretty sure everyone is savoring every word you both are spouting out in this lovely conversation called expounding, attuning to the quantum. So let's get to the actress and our quantum astrologer. Let's ask her, Michelle. We kept you waiting, huh? I know. It was just pun intended. Uh,
Story from Danielle, so I was excited to hear that. And actually,
yes.
it's with what happened also when Danielle gave me all the designs, and there were about 60 of them, and I had to choose 44, and I had to match them with the planet and the elements, and at first I was like, whoa, this is so overwhelming because every design was so magical. And it's crazy because I did not know that story of the moon and water. Danielle, you never told me that story.
No, I just remembered it
Just,
today. Like,
and I
Wow,
matched
wow, what a
the motion and with water.
good blessing.
So, and this is also the process of matching because I was looking at the cards and I had, the planets, the sign, the elements, and I thought, okay, and eventually the planets themselves were telling me, this is my card, this is my rock, this is my design. And I was like, okay, well, that's going to make it a lot easier. You just tell me where you want to go. And that's how the matching happened. And then because some of those cards, some of those rocks had a little channeling that came with them that Daniel had got as he was doing the rock and way before we started creating the Oracle deck. And then he sent them to me, and not all of them had, but a few had. And it was also about how to integrate that channeling into what I was getting from an astrological point of view. So we collaborated on so many different levels. And I would say it was so organic. I mean, we never got into arguments or conflicts. It just was flowing. Everything was flowing. Everything. And then he was like, oh, what about this? What about that? How about this? And things would just happen, which was amazing. And I have to mention Sandra, because Sandra is Daniel's partner, and she was also part of the practical side, because we are both artists, and she was part of the, you know, creating the printing and doing all the communication with the print
Organization, yeah.
and all of that. So she also had a very important role to play with to make these cards concrete, and that we can actually today hold them and play and work with them.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I can see that highest excitement in you also, Michelle. You know, I mean, I can see your eyes glow and talking about every aspect of whatever I'm asking. So I was just thinking, let me just throw the right ones to excite Michelle more. You know, you know, uh,
So there
uh,
were also days where I was thinking, why am I putting myself through this? This is insane. This is too crazy. This is impossible. And somehow I kept going through, and Danielle was super supportive. And I'm glad I did, because once we got the finished product, I was even more excited than he was. We were both excited, but I think I was a little more excited.
yes, yes. Before I go to the handsome hunk to ask the question, I just wanted to ask you because you know Daniel painted such exotic, exquisite, amazing, you know, scintillating, energetic mandalas. You know, I mean, for me, they're glowing to me. You know, when I'm looking at each mandala and the painting, and you know, each painting is a spectacle, a marvel unto itself. Uh, and I can say, I mean, if this is exaggeration, but I can say them. I mean, it's like nature's wonders because beautiful rocks and such great mandalas he has done.
Or maybe for the audience, I can just share the screen and show you a PDF of some
Please,
stone.
please do. With pleasure, great pleasure.
So, let me find. Okay.
So these are
Wow.
So you
the
see, yeah,
Earth,
you
Uranus in Earth.
see,
Here is this
what do you see?
Wow.
Do you see the cards?
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes. Saturn in Earth and Uranus in Earth. So
Yes.
this is a purpose.
So you can see the cards actually. Okay. So let me go just a little.
And then Neptune and what Earth also.
So let me put it
All
on
Earth cards
like this.
with a group.
So now this is the fire cards, for example, that I'm going to see. Every card has a different mandala. And then we come to the water. No, the air, actually, that's great. It's a little bit blue on my screen. This is the loving friendship here. And
I don't think we can see it. Daniel.
no,
So
Yes,
we
yes.
oh, you can? I'm still, I mean, on my screen, I only see the green cards, the Earth.
I mean, I can just see these three cards, like the seriousness of people, unique practical sense, and healing.
oh, you don't see when I scroll them down. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
It's fine. We will come back to the next screen share.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to just because you know when we go into the technical details, we will. I'll ask you guys to share screen for your cards, for your websites, so that people can go into your website and read your books, go to your websites, find out more about these cards, how to purchase them, you know,
Yes,
and
yes.
about Michelle's website, how to take the best help of her astrological readings and different things, but especially the cards, how people can actually uh, order these from both of you, from those who are in Slovenia and different parts of the world, and then those who are in US from Michelle. However it is, we will discuss about that too. But I wanted to ask you about the messages, Michelle. I mean, how did you write these messages? How did they come to you? How did you match each message with each mandala?
Well, as I said, the planets were telling me this is my card. So the planets talk to me, I guess. It's like the rocks talk to Danielle. And what I wanted the text to be deep, but at the same time to be practical and to be esoteric and mystical, and to be a guide in terms of wisdom, but at the same time have a lot of information. So each card is packed with information, and it's not just a random few words put together. It's really Venus in water means something different than Venus in earth, or Saturn in water means something different. So it was so, and that's what makes those cards so unique, is that the text is also connected cosmically. It's not some random things that we put together with a nice design. It's something much, much more connected and much deeper, because astrologers don't just look at a chart, which is based on a person's date, time and birth, time, date, and place of birth, and just randomly talk. You are reading something. It's astrologos, the language of the stars. So the stars, the planets are talking, and they have profound wisdom, and that wisdom is in the cards. So I divided the text in the positive and the negative that are more like challenges. And those challenges are not necessarily the ones we are, showing, but it could be also challenges we are experiencing coming from other people in our lives. But I'm also a shaman, and as a shaman, we know that the inside and the outside is the same. So whatever I'm encountering outside of myself is a reflection of something inside of me. And so it's always interesting to look at both aspects in terms of how can I better myself? How can I, choose a better option in that situation? How can I respond in a wiser manner? How can I have an attitude or an understanding or perception of that situation, that person, that is more conducive to success, rather than creating more conflict and difficulties. So, but the text was very intense to write. And as I said, I've written books, and I thought, oh well, gods, but how difficult can that be? It's a small little book. But, well, that was the most difficult thing I ever wrote, because I really, I wanted it to be packed with information. I wanted it to be really connected to the planets, connected to the mandala. So there was a huge amount of meditation that went, and I mean, people tell me I channel, which I don't think I do, but they say I do. But there was a huge amount of meditation, dreaming, journeying, and I did this. I was sitting on my balcony under the stars every night and working on it. It was very hot here in Phoenix, so I was surrounded by the air that was hugging me, and at the same time channeling and observing the design and integrating some of the text that Danielle had submitted to me in some cards, and at the same time my own astrological knowledge and my own astrological understanding. So it was, and then thinking, this is not just a book I'm writing something that is going to answer questions, and I don't know what questions people are going to ask. So I was really praying also and asking that, that it would, that these questions, that the text would really correspond to any kind of question somebody might ask in the future. So it was also stepping outside of time. It was about being in sacred time and outside of past, present, future. But and that's where the quantum comes in, because it's this multi-dimensionality of different layers and different things. And at the same time, I wanted the text to be practical. I didn't want it to be all airy-fairy, that it would only appeal to esoterically minded people, but it would appeal and give concrete answers as well as the wisdom and the esoteric and the mystical. So it was interesting writing, for sure.
I'm so glad that you shared this with our audience because that was needed for me. I mean, when you talked about, it came from sacred time, not the regular, mindful thinking or anything. I mean, it went past that, and you stepped into that reverent, uh, no space, no time zone where eternity is at hand. You kind of got those messages in a multidimensional way. I mean both of you are quantum in different senses. In a quantum sense, you both are quantum. And that can spiral around, the way the mandala spiral and all that. I mean, I think I'm getting a little hang of the mandalas, and at least not on the rock. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm going to fail uh, painting a mandala on the rock like Michelle did, but at least I can appreciate, I'm having a visual uh, you know painting of that. Even I'm just trying to just weave words around that, but you guys are the masters of it. uh, uh, Very beautifully said, because I understood the shaman part of you, because I remember you telling me in your previous episode of Spirit Talks with me that you step into sacred time when you step into the shamanic energy and that energetic world. And I think this confluence was needed, like the mandalas. I mean, Daniel painted the mandalas, and he can visually interpret energy, and you can sense and talk and communicate with the planets. He can talk to Gaia in his own way. You can talk to uh, the universe and the celestial bodies at large. And yet, you have another uh, faculty as well, where once I remember you got tricked by that master shaman and got initiated into shamanic shamanism also. So it's, I mean, this confluence of sorts to create this deck. I mean, I'm very much amazed, because this is not usual. Usually people are either psychic healers, or they get into the tarot signs and then design the cards. But when there was no connection, Daniel was doing his thing, painting of the mandalas. He was just, his highest excitement was that. Your highest excitement was astrology and shamanism. And when both of you came together, a different blend. I remember that word as well. A different blend came together, and it materialized as these beautiful cards, which I'm sure they're, I mean, more than physical. Their metaphysical properties and energies are huge. Though you have guised and disguised them as, fancy, beautiful, wonderful, lovely, in the in vogue cards for all of us. Everybody can benefit, including the laymen who have no clue about what's going on, because you have the booklet, you have these cards. And I mean, it was easy for me too, because I uh, love to learn things in a simple way, and it's very simple. I'm pretty sure people will get benefited by that. I'm just getting overwhelmed, and I'm just going everywhere, but the core essence, what I want to tell is this: it makes great sense, and kudos to both of you. I was getting goosebumps all along, multiple times. So I wanted to share this particular thing to the audience also. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of them can get benefited also. So let's get into the technical details. Before that, Michelle, my audience may want to know about a little bit about yourself in a very brief way. I mean, how do you think that your journey of sorts brought you to these cards?
Well, I think
If you can, I mean, I know this will be a challenge for you, but if you can sum up your journey very quick.
Well, I was
in
I was in astrology since the age of 14, and then I became a shaman. But I was always a shaman, and I loved when Daniel was talking about the rock people, because that's how I refer to the rocks also. And so it was a very, and I always did astrology in a shamanic way. Like when I do a reading for someone, I always travel in a person's psyche, and then I look at the chart and the planets start to talk to me. So sometimes I can even do a whole chart without really being quite aware of, the sun. I don't look at a chart in a technical way. I look at it as something that starts to talk to me. And so, it was so natural for me to understand those paintings, even though at the time, and I'm discovering as you are, all the process that Daniel goes through to create those cards, I did not know that at the time. And actually, I'm glad I didn't, because then it really proves how quantum the work, the collaboration has been, because we tuned in totally naturally without having all this backstory. And so it proves that we were absolutely attuned in a very, very real way. So for me, it was a very natural. I never thought in a million years I would do a card deck. I mean, I write books. I never thought of doing even a card deck. That was not something in my mind at all. And I'm so grateful that Daniel, asked me to do this with him, because I am very proud of this beautiful card deck. I think it's stunning. I think
Absolutely, absolutely.
people love it. I mean, some people have already started receiving it and they just love it. I'm getting amazing feedback from people who are playing and working with it. So that feels really good.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can feel that love for, you having a love affair with these cards. Basically, I mean, it's such, and and everyone will fall in love with these beautiful cards and the deck and the box and everything inside. Tell me, because a lot of times, a lot of things are kept cryptic to people. They try to find out the meanings of things, and they get lost. That's how, a lot of people, if they want to find out about tarot and all that, I was trying to read tarot a couple of months back, and it was so cryptic to me. I was trying to read a PDF book, and I think after 3 or 4 pages, I thought, let me read it later, and that later never came. But I forgot the name of the book. Also, the title was also kind of, it was not misleading, but I didn't understand. But now that we are doing a show here, we're talking about cards. I mean, let's demystify a little bit about why you guys chose attuning to the quantum, and why did you caption it a fusion of celestial and elemental energies? Either of you can talk, or both of you can give your perspectives.
Well, I think it's because it's the planets and the rocks, the elements. But I think what would be fun would be to do maybe a little reading, a little sample, answering a question. Is there anybody in the audience maybe who has a question of general interest?
Yeah, definitely. Let me just tune into my
But
things.
maybe Daniel, you have something else to add to celestial and elemental.
Well, it's obvious, I think, because the elements are the fire, water, earth, and air, and the celestial are the planets that are surrounding our Earth. So this fusion between those two is actually bringing together the microcosmos and the macrocosmos in a way, and see that the influences that are in the microcosmos are also of the same importance as the influences that come from bigger bodies, and everything is just interacting with each other in terms of creating new realities, actually. And we are part of it, and we collaborate, we go with the flow, and we do the same. the whole universe can be reflected in one proton of ourselves, you know. So it's kind of a fusion that is already here. We don't have to bother with how to fuse them together. We just go into the already existing fusion and we just work with it in a way.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Lovely to hear this, Daniel. The more you guys are opening up, the more number of epiphanies I'm getting. Like, oh, okay, fine. I mean, I'm at the end of the show, I'll become a Superman because I'm going to get all these quantum energies in myself, and then I'll wear the Superman suit and start flying, everywhere. And you both will be responsible for that. And somebody will send me up the air beside an aircraft, thinking, "Hey." Then they'll ask me, "What did you do?" I'll just say I used Attuning to the Quantum Cards by Daniel and Michelle. But and drank the energies of their inner fountains. So it's fun. It's fun to know more about these things because my interest in esoterics was always to understand myself, life, and never about never about any issue or anything, but understanding life in a deeper way. But today, especially here, the word quantum makes great sense to me because I didn't. I mean, certainly I was thinking, hey, what am I going to ask? I have a few set of questions, but I was going with the flow. Here and there, I think I have pointers, but I think the quantum field aligned all of us together. Probably this synergy is I think the quantum field, I feel that is more intelligent than our intellects, our limited intellects. A lot of times my intellect kind of debates that, oh, hey, I mean, is this real or not? Because I'm an engineer, so I keep questioning things sometimes. But I've laid faith in that. I mean, it took a while for me to understand how much faith is important, but I'm finally getting a hang of that. But I think that's a learning experience. It's a beautiful experience. It was a necessary experience. But I've been listening to Cryon and even Michelle in my previous interview. But today I feel this is a very quantum experience. I mean, as Daniel said the other day on the call, that definitely you see that you will know that you will also feel the energy of the audience in a very different way, in a very novel way, but not definitely not linear. But you will feel goosebumps around, or maybe that field will be more like a physical field or something touching your skin. That's what is happening to me, and I'm getting lost. There's so many things. Definitely I can discuss. The only constraint here is time. If that was not the thing, I'm like, this is my day. Let me expound, because this is expounding, attuning to the quantum. So I want to expound. Definitely we'll do more shows on more intricate details of all the mandalas and Michelle's astrological science, and how she has embred those symbols on these cards back and forth, two symbols in the front and almost 20-30 symbols in the back. How did she conceive of that? And she explained it so beautifully. But I'll just ask why. I mean, I think, is there any significance of blue also before I go into the question?
Well, that was Danielle's creation.
What do you want?
The night sky, basically, where we can see the stars.
Maybe
the azure sky. Maybe it is space. I think maybe the color of ether, probably.
Yes, but also blue is the color of the chakras. The throat chakra is communication. It's light blue. The third eye is actually a view that penetrates beyond illusion, which is again indigo blue. And this is the right color, communication with the field and seeing through some layers or veils that from the 3D perspective of the life that we are living is a little bit more hard to penetrate. So the blue color is this messenger, actually.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It seems like a blue angel to me. And you said
And
the
also the
blue.
of the box, which was the idea of the sacral, the crown chakra, and our connection with the divine, and the purple flame, and all those concepts connected to purple.
I think they'll match the color of my shirt too, because I'm wearing blue today. Anyways, and there are stars here, and
You were
I think no, I mean, I'm taking the energy of both of you and kind of trying to become a psychic today. I'm trying to interpret. I mean, yeah, it's making more quantum sense to me. How I mean, when everything is quantum, uh, how beautiful it is. Then to linearize, it kind of uh, you know uh, cast you to boredom, linearity, but the quantum makes things more and more interesting, more and more mysterious, more and more
a
deep.
little reading. Do you have, does anybody in the audience has a question of general
Let
interest?
me,
Or
yes. Yeah, I got a message from a friend asking about the current times. Before, yeah, yeah, give us a reading, and then uh,
of the
uh,
current time?
like generally asking about how to cope with this pandemic. I
Okay,
mean, is there any way to use these cards, and I mean, how to make sense, how to become more positive using
yes.
using them?
Okay, so what I recommend is that once you get your cards, meditate on them and put your energy in them. And then when you put them back in the box, you can wrap them in white silk or a piece of black velvet and put them in a sacred place. And once they are your cards, nobody else should touch them. So this is not something you would put on a coffee table, for everybody to touch, because you want the cards to keep your energy so that they will be answering your questions. So you can also draw cards for someone else, but you would be doing it for someone else. And then I always have my ceremonial cloth. So this is a cloth I got from the Keros that I use in my shamanic ceremonies. That's very ancient and hand-dyed and has also very specific symbols. But you can use pretty much any cloth that feels sacred to you, and that will be for those. But you don't just put your cards on the table. I have two of them. So one has I have this one to show you, and the other one is on my table. So as you do that, you would focus on the question. So the question is how best to cope, and then you just shuffle the cards as you do that. So you just shuffle, and you're going to, so how best to cope with the current world situation. And then what I do is that I cut. So you cut anywhere and you will take the button card. And it says, well planned concrete action. So it is Mars in Earth. So you would first look at the design, which is actually beautiful. So I don't know, Danielle, if you have anything to say about the design. This is Mars in Earth.
I just,
Well
yes,
planned concrete
actually,
action.
this was the mandala that was painted, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. And what is interesting is that in the middle you have the flower that is not flowering yet. It is like, how you say it in English, like a
In a
small
bud.
burst, or yeah. And then you have different shapes that could associate you to an owl, the bird, which represents wisdom. And it is going into the communication colors. and then bringing out some new expansions. And around that is a line that is called the pulse of Earth, which is a cosmic pulse, which I got the teachings to use this line actually came from a meditation where the dragon realm came in, and they were like teaching me about sacred geometry almost half an hour, different things, you know, and one of those was this line, and they told me like in specific stones you are going to feel that this line has to go around the mandala as a cosmic pulse representation, like a heartbeat, you know, but from the cosmos. So I would say that this stone was in the beginning is representing that something new can happen through an approach of wisdom, communicating this wisdom around, spreading it around, and building something new that is in the energy of passion, of compassion, of love. Yes. And this will be supported with the rhythm of the heart of the whole universe. So this is the energy in which the stone was painted, but now it also can represent Mars in Earth, like a well-planned concrete action which has to have a vision, has to have wisdom, and has to have the communication of dissemination and everything. So maybe you can read it now.
So I will read what I wrote, what the text is. So for this project to be successful, you need to plan and execute your actions carefully and efficiently with a high degree of self-control. So we are talking about what is going on right now. How do we deal with all those restrictions? It is important that you remain respectful of the rules and obedient to those in positions of authority, but your talents should be applied to useful tasks with discipline, hard work, and persistence. Your energy needs to be channeled towards concrete results in a skillful, practical, and decisive manner. A profound disrespect for laziness and inactivity makes you seek solidity in a man if you are a woman, or find those reservoirs of strength within you if you are a man. Your attention to details, steady routine, as well as hard and willing work placed at the service of your ambitions will pay off. And then the challenges to look out for: an overly materialistic attitude and excessive ambitions could make you lose sight of human values, creating stress. And a lot of people are having stress right now and are concerned about lack of money and all of that. And turn you into a cold, calculating, selfish being, which we also have been seeing around us. Plagued by a lack of self-confidence, you could become jealous, possessive, or violent, or attract one who displays those challenging traits. So from that text and the design, the beautiful design of this garb, I don't know if you can see it very well here. Yes. I would say that it's very important that we respect the rules, but at the same time that we use our talents and we are looking for concrete results through the application of our talents, and that we don't start to become lazy or inactive, and that we find steadiness and solidity within ourselves, and we don't lose sight of human values, because that will help us get away from the stress, get away from the lack of self-confidence, and that's going to enable us to keep going, even though there are structures, limitations, confinements around us. it's not going to stop our evolution. It's not going to stop our flow. And we are going to be able to manifest some very profound and interesting things in our lives that are going to help to be the building blocks for the rest of our lives.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, wonderful insights. I mean, that was needed for. I think this will address so many others' question. That person Harish have asked a very good question about the planet, about the pandemic, how to cope, and all that. So definitely, viewers, please take note of what Michelle said, and that's how you, shuffle the cards and give a, get a reading for yourself. But we'll go a little bit more into those details where I've seen that there are 3 card picks and 5 card picks, and how best, what are the different things. Like, and suddenly I thought, I mean, it's like a game of bridge. There's a card game called bridge, right? I mean, there is and there are different rules to that. So then I thought, okay, fine. So there are so many things to oracle card decks also. So it was interesting. So I was going through these in a span of 10 days. But today it was
Readings of drawing the cards. For example, the easiest is just to draw 1 card, but you can also draw 3 cards, one for past, present, future, or 8 cards. And I explained this in the booklet. In the middle, you would create a cross in the middle for the present situation. Underneath would be the unconscious condition that led to the present condition. And then on top, so you would have 3 cards aligned, you would have the desired outcome. And then on the left-hand side, the past, on the right-hand side, the immediate future. And then 3 more cards, one that would be the extended future, what would be your reputation, what other people think, and the final outcome. So that also will take a little more time if somebody wants, more detailed, experience or answer to a specific question. That's also a more involved way of drawing the cards or using the cards. And there may be others, I mean, we came up also with ideas that, if there's 1 card that you want to work with, you could meditate on it, you could put it under your pillow, you could put it in your purse, in your car, in your mirror, in your bathroom mirror. You could journal with it, you could put it under a glass of water for the energy to go into the water. I mean, and I'm sure that our viewers are going to find other ways that we didn't even know or imagine or think of. So that's
it will
why
be a great boon and a blessing for a lot of people. I totally.
and you can order the cards. So even though we created the cards together, Danielle and I, we he's selling his cards and I'm selling mine. So I think the best is whoever you feel most drawn to,
Definitely. We will ask you guys to
else work, you can
share the
also
screen.
do it his website, and if you feel more drawn to me, you can.
I'll ask you one question and then I'll ask you to share the screen, and then maybe you can show the mandalas and his website. And Michelle, you can show your website about the Oracle deck and also anything you want to talk about. So I mean, so it was such a great discussion. We were attuning actually to the quantum. We were fusing celestial and elemental energies. Knew a lot about the mandalas. Knew a lot about the elements and the planets and how to use these cards. And the actual energy of the discussion went into some nice topics which I wanted to expound and evoke some great answers from you guys, which you brilliantly answered. Uh, just tell us, I mean, if just demonstrate if you can, yeah, 1 or 2 things, Michelle, and then probably Daniel can show those cards to the people. I mean, I'm just going through this deck My question is, I mean, there are so many things, you know, I mean, I have, you know, if I have to go, I'll just quickly ask those things, you know, which people might get stuck at, you know. You said how to use the deck. Yes, it is, you know, all of that is clear to me. And then as an oracle, you just ask them how to draw different cards. That was also clear. And then about these astrological signs, and you know, somewhere it was written as a tool for personal growth based on your astrological chart. And then it says also see page 107. So when the astrology part comes, I mean, unless we know, I mean, how do common people use these cards, looking at, I mean, how to, I mean, whether they have to find out what their elements are. Can you just give a very brief summary of the astrological parts, and then, you know, that way people can understand more about how to use these cards more effectively?
Well, that's a little more technical because you would need to know your chart. So if you get a reading, the astrologer, myself or another astrologer, will tell you maybe you lack a certain element, for example. And if you lack, for example, the element of air, either it is because in past lives you developed it so much that you don't need to develop it any further, or you have not developed it and it's something that is still to come in other lifetime, in future lifetimes. So, for example, if you have, because the planets are in our chart, which is a picture of the heavens when we were born, as I said, based on your month, day, year of birth, your place of birth, city in terms of latitude, longitude, and your time of birth, which is also very important. But even without the time, you can still get a very accurate reading. And the planets, this depending. So if you say, for example, I'm Cancer, it doesn't mean that all your planets are in Cancer. You could be a Cancer sun, and then your moon could be in Sagittarius, your Mercury could be in Gemini, your Venus could be in Leo, your Mars could be in Scorpio. And depending on how the planets are distributed in your natal chart, it's going to give you a balance of the elements. So some people are pretty balanced with the elements. They have, pretty much 2 or 3 planets in each element. Some people have everything in one element and are lacking another, or someone has a very dominant, clearly dominant, or 2 dominant elements. So it's interesting. It's important to know those things, and you can find them through an astrologer or even through computerized astrology, reports. And then you can compensate or start to work on the aspects of yourself that you don't have. So in a very simple way, fire is energy, drive, initiative. Earth is grounding, materiality, connection with the physical. Water is emotions, and air is the mind. So these are all the levels: physical, spiritual, mental, and emotional. And then you would look at you would work with all the planets in one element. Let's say, for example, you have no air sign in your chart. Then you would look at all the air, all the planets in air, and you would start to look at that and read that and make notes for yourself in your little journal on how can I develop air more in my life? How can I develop communication more? How can I listen better? How can I express myself more creatively? What can I do with this element that I'm a little weak in? And the opposite, if you have a super, super, super strong element, well, maybe we need to tone it down a little, that maybe it's okay. We have this down. So let's now start to look at other aspects that we want to develop. And that's how you work with those cards. So that's why it's not just an oracle. It's really a book of self-help and wisdom.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm seeing that because, it's not just, I mean, it is like a condensed encyclopedia of life itself. I mean, the more I'm going deeper, the more I'm reading these things. I mean, everything, every planet, every word you have written basically is opening up portals of, different dimensions, different kind of, knowledge, inventories, I can say, or, uh, or you can call a knowledge base. And it is, I mean, it will spiral into, wonderful subjects, and people, I mean, I think attuning to the quantum is making sense now, basically, because it's not just something like they have a reading, they'll just take it and they'll just put it away, but they have to work that in a very quantum fashion, rather than, using that, hey, I'm going to, on September 23rd, 2023, something wonderful is going to happen. I mean, rather than you just see the potential of what's happening. I mean,
I want
this
to
is, this is like,
say,
I mean,
um,
this is very uncanny to me, because something like this is very unprecedented. Have never been done, where mandalas have come in, and celestial and elemental, or and when astrology and shamanic and energy interpretations and all those things in one place, in one house altogether. I mean, dancing with unison. It's very different, and I think people will watch this show again and again to make great sense. But yeah, you can just. I mean, I just want you to show your website, Michelle, about these cards, so that people can take a note of them. What are the
yes,
prices
that's
to,
correct.
and then I'll ask Daniel also to show the mandalas, and
So
also website also.
it's Michelle Karen, and you can find the Oracle cards in the shop section or in the astrology section. I put them in both. And there's also, I transcribed the last interview we had with Peggy Harris and Julianne Connard. So there's also the transcript of that interview that we did with them. So yes, you can order them. I don't know if I can scroll down. Does it scroll if I do that? And so the designs are, of course, were created by Danielle, and this is one of the little texts of the book. And actually, the text, it took me to come down to that level of text. I had 10 pages that I condensed into these two little pages. So it was a lot of writing involved in doing this deck. And then one of the cards, and then the back and the description of the cards, and also the messages, because we got a beautiful channeling from Alcazar, channeled by Pagit Harris, who is the founder of the Stargate that Daniel mentioned. And we had an amazing channeling from Alcazar, and we also had an amazing channeling from Cryon, channeled by Lee Pearl, who also was very excited about these cards. I actually got a few messages from Lee and how excited he was about these cards and how amazing they are. And we were very grateful to be endorsed by those two very wonderful people, channeling very powerful entities. So this is my website, michellekaren.com. Just my name.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean,
I will let them
I'm pretty sure people will buy these cards and get benefited.
But
Uh,
yeah, so you can order them, and as I said, depending on who you feel more in tune with, you can order them directly from Danielle or from myself.
sure,
Uh,
sure,
but we
definitely.
separated the orders so that if you want to support Danielle, you order from him. If you want
Yes,
to
yes,
support
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to him now. Before I ask you to take a reading and also demonstrate to the audience just one or two things about the cards, and few more things, because this can go on and on, because there are so many things which are coming up in my mind. I mean, it's uh, I'm really in for a surprise. I mean, you guys both caught me together. I mean, I thought that I will escape, taking one message and then run, but that's not That's not how it's going to happen. It's going to get deeper and deeper. So it's great that I'm actually getting a hang of this. But the more I'm trying to understand, the more the mystery is deepening. Which is, I mean, I think that's how the esoteric world functions, and that's a fun part. So Daniel, uh, I just wanted to, I just want you to show your website, Gaia Light,
Okay.
and tell a little bit about at least 3 or 4 mandalas in these cards, and how do people, I mean, is there, do they have to interpret these mandalas? Do they have to know these mandalas, anything about them, their meanings, or is it just enough to read the messages, feel the energy of it, meditate on them? I mean, is there any necessity to actually understand them in a linear way, or they can simply go quantum and tune there in the field?
Well, if they're especially attracted to a certain mandala, then a deeper level of understanding is already present, I think. But in general, no, because the energy from these mandalas is interacting with you on a level that maybe isn't supported by the mind every time, you know.
Mhm.
So, but let me share this.
Please.
Uh,
We're all excited to see your mandalas, the card decks, and anything you have created. If you want to show it to our audience.
I'm just trying to find my. Let's see if this is it. Yeah.
I think you
Do
have
you
started.
see the web page?
You have started this
I
thing.
have
I think it's
screen.
taking a little bit of time to pop. Yes, yes. I think that was the thing. Okay. Yeah. If you can move, yeah. If you can move, yeah.
You see it?
Yes, yes, yes.
So it is here. So if you go to the web page gaialit.com, it is really simple. GAIALIT.com. It is like Gaia, the planet Earth, and lit like the lithos, the stone, combined together. Gaialit.com. Then you will be able to actually go through different menus. I have these garlic stones that are already made, just in a gallery, but the internet is kind of unstable, I think. Let me go through. So it takes a while just to, okay, can't be reached, you know why? I think I have some internet connection issues in this moment. Okay, so we are here. Still loading. Oh, here they are. Can you see them now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this is Galit Stone Gallery, and you see personalized Galit Gallery. The Galit is the name of the page, galit.com. And then you can see all the stones that were already pre-created and were personalized for different people. And then we have, Michelle showed, pretty much the same information on it. And then if you go to the shop, you can go to various products, pendants, t-shirts, magnets, oracle card deck, everything connected to this mandalas and on different applications. For example, we have the symbols also on semi-precious stone pendants or magnets. So I don't want to browse too much because I don't want you to wait too much. I can just go back to attuning to the quantum, maybe see how quickly it will. Oh, that was quick now. Okay. You see, we also have the video that we had with Pradeep Harris and Julien in the Stargate experience on this side. You can see how the energy mandala actually through the planets becomes a card. This is a visual interpretation again how we did it, and something about the cards, and then you can order on this one or in the shop, and basically we have the regular post or the DHL, which is a little bit sooner, and we ship worldwide, so there is no problem for any audience to actually order it. And so you wanted, Sharat, something more about the cards? I didn't remember what the question was actually.
No, what I just said was if you can take one or two mandalas,
Okay.
then if somebody is interested in them, probably I mean to understand. But my actual question was, you actually answered it, because if someone is looking at the mandala, if they get a doubt that do I have to know it, but you answered it beautifully that I mean.
So you can see a lot of these painted stones also on the web page with the symbols. This is how they look originally. Not all of them are with me anymore, but all of them can be repainted on a different rock in a slightly different matter with the same energetic potential. So if people would like to have a rock painting, this is also possible. Or if they want to have all the rock paintings in the card deck, this is possible. We have also sets of magnets, for example, which is also beautiful to have and put them on metal surfaces like a refrigerator or a radiator or anything metal, and you have the constant reminder actually of these energies somewhere in your house that are constantly radiating this energy. So all of the audience is actually invited to visit the webpage, browse a little bit through and see what we have, and if something is resonating with you, we'll be more than happy to ship it. I will just close the sharing.
Absolutely. I think they'll definitely plug into your websites. Both Michelle and you have demonstrated good things about, and I love especially that that mandala plus, I think, the cosmos, the planets together. How that particular thing. It was. I was about to ask because I saw in the website, but then I thought, hey, I didn't write it down, and I literally forgot. But you brought it. I mean, uh, I think I'm getting quantum myself now. So right, Michelle. So
Good.
so I mean there are so many things which can come up on a mental level, but on an esoteric level, I understand the gist of you both. I mean, I'm going to give this to the audience and correct me, both of you, and you can punish me, Daniel and Michelle. I mean, I think the punishment should be you, me, and Daniel should either hang out in Slovenia, or you guys come to New York and I come to Arizona to have some kombucha with Michelle Karen.
Good.
No problem. We can.
Absolutely.
So Michelle, maybe you also put your webpage information in the chat box for people that can easily access it.
Yes. Yeah. Let me also put.
Yes.
Daniel. Oh, Daniel and Michelle.
Yes, I'm doing it.
If you want, Michelle, I can do that for you if you want. Or...
I'm doing it right now. Okay, then.
Great. So people have the information also on the chat box.
michellecaren.com.
Yes, and I
Great,
actually,
great, great, great. And anyway, we have the YUPP TV link. A lot of people are small game of sorts, small fun thing before we conclude. I want to ask Daniel again. Daniel, uh, you have given the technicalities of mandalas and your experience about energy interpretation, but I want you to answer about the cards now, because I got the energy of Michelle, but I want your energetic uh, reply too for this. How do people get benefited, because this show is about transforming and empowering your life? What is the best way
Mhm.
to use this? I mean, suppose I have the card deck. I have this
Yes.
booklet. I have uh, the the box. I have the cards myself. I have all these lovely cards. Some of them I'm shuffling, and all of them I have it, friends. And the front ones, very elegant cards, very wonderful, lovely cards. This is the first time I'm holding card deck in this fashion. Even after getting them, I was just taking one by one. But I think uh, here I'm becoming somebody else. I think the angels are here. So something like this, right? So some 44 beautiful cards, some great designs.
You
Each trumping another. Each card trumping another. I mean, I cannot even compare one with the other because they're so unique. I don't want to say that I like this one and that. I mean, all the messages all are appropriate as one, uh, rather quantum. And I mean, can you give a general way so that if somebody is a layman who just has the booklet, knows nothing about anything, just got the book, just got the deck, how to how do you reinforce that faith in you? What is that ritual you do to use these cards? Have you used these cards a lot and weekly
Yes.
basis whenever they want to? How do they what is I mean if you want to step into the shoes of the audience, how will you do that? I mean
Well,
or
very simple. First of all, you have to actually connect with the deck, as Michelle explained, and you can connect to the deck by shuffling it several times. It's everything is explained in the instructions in the booklet, but also there are people who are individual, and if they have some instructions, they would skip them just because it is as they are. So if you want to work with the deck, the most important thing is to make your own connection to it, and if you're shuffling it 7 times, then you are already making this connection with it. But maybe you want to do it on a different way. I don't know. So we don't, how to say, we don't restrict that. We advise how to do it in the booklet, and this is, in our opinion, the best way. But any type of ritual or self empowering thing that you do with the deck will connect you with it, and then you just shuffle it until you feel that the right time is here. You can either cut it and take the lower card. You can spread it like you did before, and then just choose one card. You can do it in your own way as you are used to, but then when you have the card chosen, it is really important to observe it first, to go and look at the mandala and just try not to think too much what you see, but just soak in the energy. And then you can find the explanation of this card in the booklet, and what we have in the index, we have also the symbols that are on the card, we have it also in the index, so you can find it more easily. And you already know by the border, is it fire, is it earth, is it water, is it air? And then you just go and find the meaning, and it's really easy to find the card. And then you read it, you know, then you read it and listen to what you're reading, listen with the inner ear, you know, what is resonating. Because maybe the first sentence is not resonating, the second sentence is not resonating, but then the third resonates really strongly. And then you say, wow, this is for me, this is the message for me, this is where I have to be like more conscious about it. And maybe you can, maybe the whole text resonates really strongly, maybe just a few parts of the text resonate, you know? This is where your inner ability to fine tune with what is happening comes to the forefront. And if you're looking to the mandala first, then it opens you up, so you are able to perceive the textual message actually in those parts where it is really important for you at that day, at that moment. Maybe you will draw the same card in 1 week or 2 weeks or 1 month, you know. The message can be different with the same card because it's a different moment and your question is different. So always go through this process, connecting with the deck, choosing a card, and then going into a process of becoming more sensitive and more aware through watching the symbol. And then go to the understanding of the text, and then you can make notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can make notes and say, just work with this, what resonates with you for the next day, 2 days, as long as it feels that you need it, you know. Do you agree, Michelle? You have something else to
I
add?
agree, Daniel, and I also would like to add something. Don't question, you know, don't say, oh, I don't like this card, let me draw another one. You know, whatever you got is what you got. And don't keep asking over and over the same question. You know, ask it, meditate, do it well once, and honor whatever answer you got and work with the answer you got. But don't start saying, oh, well, I don't like this, let's put it back, because you may find amazing information. And if you put it back and you take another one, then the cards will start playing with you and will fool you. They will not start to answer your questions. They will be like, oh, well, this person doesn't care, let's answer whatever, you know? So really be very honorable when you do a reading for yourself. And have integrity and receive the answer, even if it's not what you thought, or not what you wanted, there's still value in what you're receiving, and listen to that value.
Yeah, and if you're doing it like that, you know, then you are opening this doorway and you are letting in the magic, because it's really magical. If you go into this state of mind, connecting with the deck, asking a sincere question, not doubting it, going through the process of this visual contact and then the textual understanding, you will feel magic, I can guarantee.
And
Great,
also,
great, great. So friends,
I agree with Daniel, and also ask meaningful questions. You know, don't ask, oh, what shoes should I buy today? You know, I mean,
yes.
questions that are really that you have been thinking about, that are, you know, you can't find the answer, you need the answer, you want to understand. I mean, something that you've already been working on your own, and then you get to the point, okay, I'm hitting a wall here, I need something more. And the answers are going to be very specific and very precise if you use your deck that way. And trust your intuition, trust you know, everybody has an intuition. And as you draw the cards, it's not random. Whatever cards come, it's not a random. It's not random. It has meaning. It profoundly supports something in your own evolution.
Great to hear this, Michelle. A lot of, even I am relieved after, even I'm relieved that you told a lot about the cards, how to use them, and finally the message is to go with the flow, also with the quantum flow, and it will guide you, because now that you have source with you, you have spirit in the form of these cards. So however you want to maneuver its power, it's you, how much grounded you are. You simply, the message is simply be playful with these cards, friends. Don't be too serious. Don't think that, oh, did I make a mistake, and do I have to doubt, and do I have to don't go for questions again and again. Don't ask the same question again to the cards. It's dishonoring the energy itself. But actually playing with it once, trusting that it was your intuitive inner calling which drew that card out. It was the energy of the moment. You drew it out. Honor that. Be reverent to it, and then in a quantum way, solutions will flow in. Because these cards boost your morale, make you a better person in life, right? So after listening to you guys at this length, it took a while for me, but I think it was worth to listen to all the minuscule details also of these things. When people, I know, will have a very concrete idea of what these cards will be, how they may seem like cards, but they are rivers of energy inside them. They can emanate, smell, they can emanate energy, they can emanate confidence, you name it. I love that thing. So we'll take a question and then we'll play a game. Daniel and Michelle, are you ready?
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I think Daniel is. I didn't tell Daniel. I think Michelle already knows it, but I think I didn't tell it on purpose so that we can have fun on the show. But before that, I want to ask you this question from Lalita. That Michelle.
Yes.
Lalita is asking me that. It's a little specific, but it can be generalized too. How can she go beyond the pain of love? And if they want to solve any situations, uh, how can they cross the bridge without pain?
Okay. Contemplation. So that's a card of the sun in water. So I will let the sun in water. It's page 86 of the booklet. And what it says here is contemplated. Yes. So the situation requires that you rely on your intuition, comfortable with a more reserved and contemplative attitude towards life. This is a wonderful time to focus on your home and family ties. You could feel more nurturing than usual. Music, poetry, mysticism are attractive. Your psychic and artistic talents are heightened. Your compassion, receptivity, tenderness, empathy need to be particularly supported. It is important that you feel all at once sensual and emotional. And despite being quite magnetic to others, it is essential that you remain more focused on your inner life. So I would say to you to really focus on yourself and transport the pain of love towards another towards yourself, so that it's not about pain, it's about giving to yourself and nurturing yourself in a way that you would have liked another to nurture you. So it's about loving yourself, falling in love with yourself, giving to yourself, and focusing on your family, focusing on artistic talent that you may have, focusing on things where you can express your uniqueness and connect with people you cherish, who cherish you back, so that you are channeling your emotions in a way that is healing and nurturing to you, and is not, and that will transmute whatever pain you may be feeling.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, I think Lalita might have imbibed this message. Thank you, Michelle, for giving one more reading for our audience. I'm pretty sure everybody is enjoying this show. Anyway, this show will be also, it will also telecast as 4 different episodes when, people can watch it bit by bit too. They can get the best benefit of these cards and how to use them energetically in their life, how to reinforce faith, and play with these kind of energetic elements which you have given. So I think we have pretty much covered everything, and we are at the end of this show. But before letting you go, if you guys were with me, I would have offered you champagne, but I just can only play with you guys on the web. So just wanted to, already Michelle had a taste of that, but I just want to give a taste of this to Daniel as well. So let me start with Daniel, because Michelle already played with me. So Daniel, this is called a rapid fire game. Now I'll give you one word, and take your time, but don't make it too long. I'll give you a set of 10 questions. Whatever pops up in your mind. You gotta tell me. Whoever takes the least time will win. So of course, it will be a win-win situation because we are in a quantum meeting. But just for the fun of it, if you're ready, then I will start.
Do we both answer,
Okay.
or one by one?
No, I will ask one by one. I'll ask Daniel and then Michelle.
Okay.
Okay, Daniel, you understood what I'm going to do, right?
We will see
Okay, I'll
if
just
I understood.
give me a word or a sentence, not more than that.
A word or a sentence?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Mandala.
Yeah. So, what is this mandala?
No. You have to quickly tell me whatever is popping on your mind. Whatever it is. Even if it is the name of your mother, you have to tell me.
Okay. Cow.
Okay. Daniel.
This was what popped your mind, Daniel? On a cow?
Really? Again, the same answer?
Yeah, flower.
Flower. Wow. Okay, I'll ask some random questions. Music.
Note.
Energy.
Work.
Rock people.
Concert.
Sharath.
Beautiful host.
That was the right answer.
Michelle.
Yes.
Is it Michelle's turn or do I continue?
No. The question is Michelle.
Oh, the question is Michelle. Okay. Astrologer.
Okay. And Oracle deck.
Popularity.
Thank you. And now it is Michelle. Let me see how fast the actress will give the answers. She already played it. Michelle,
Okay.
tell me about astrology,
Stars,
quantum,
color,
mandalas,
beauty,
Daniel,
talent,
Sharath,
talent. Oh, sorry,
Sharath,
star,
energy.
purple,
All right. The oracle deck,
popularity,
life.
creative.
Thank you. Thank you. Michelle won, Daniel.
Sure.
She gave the fast answers.
No doubt. Yes.
Yes, right? So thank
I'm
you so
excited.
much. I hope you enjoyed this. And we have taken a lot of golden nuggets from you guys. It was very useful. And I know that this will, glow up a lot of people, juice up a lot of people's lives whose lives are arid, uh, enhance people's life who are already flourishing, and enable people to make them, uh, you know, empowered, powerful, invincible in life. I'm absolutely sure, and I am rest assured that I have these oracle card decks with me. Now I'm not worried about anything because my energy is here, and my energy is in front of me to Daniel and Michelle, two lovely friends I made in this life journey. Thank you so much, Daniel and Michelle. Just quickly, Michelle, give your in closing, give your message to the world about the cards, and also your general message in these trying times, please.
Well, it's really, the card I just took was love of nature. And I think it's so important, especially at these times, to connect to nature and empower ourselves and know that no matter how dramatic the situation looks around us, we have the inner power, the inner light, the inner love to transmute those circumstances by being positive and connecting to nature in all its magical forms.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Daniel, give your collective message, or your message at large to the world, in these trying times, please.
Well, I would say that we are all sovereign beings, and all the instructions of how we connect with our own inner nature and also with the nature outside of us is already in us. So the outside world is actually nothing more than an information for us. And what resonates, sorry, and what resonates with us in this moment, this is our truth, and we have to actually honor this inner guidance, that we have. So to make our own steps, because we're our own teachers, and nobody should tell us how to do something, what to do, why, when, with whom. It is our sovereign being that actually has to find instructions within what to do, how to do, and this is how we connect with our own source and with all that is around us and is the right thing for us. So all of us are individuals. So my message is be free, stay free, and live free with your own inner guidance and your own inner teacher, actually, who can guide you.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Michelle, both of you, wonderful people, for coming on this show called Expounding, Attuning to the Quantum, and it was a great quantum experience for all of us. And so, friends, that was Michelle and Daniel, the painter of the mandalas and the quantum astrologer and master shaman. both of them coming together in this show with me to talk about, for the first time in history, astrology and the elemental energies and Gaia and even shamanic energy coming together to give us a fusion of sorts in the form of these cards called Attuning to the Quantum Fusion of Cosmic and Elemental Energies by Daniel Preston Yak and Michelle Karen. These are the Oracle Wisdom cards by both of them. And I'm pretty sure you guys got a lot of insight how to use them technically, in depth, energetically, why becoming quantum is the in thing now, so that you can take the best benefit of these cards and the energy inside them, how to elicit the best of life uh, from this one deck. So you and the websites are chat box here, and they will as well flash when we will retelecast this. But for now, it is michellekaren.com, and that is Michelle's website. And her card decks is www.michellekaren.com/oracle-deck. And Daniel's, it is GaiaLIT.com/product oracle-booklet with 44-energy mandalas. So in short, his com, and you guys can order things from them, and we will connect again with these people, with sequel of sorts once again with some more new readings as per the audience request. So thank you so much. This is your favorite host, Sharath, in Expounding, Attuning to the Quantum on Mana TV International. I hope you all loved it. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Have a
Sharon.
blessed day.
And thank you to all.
Thank you. Blessings. Yes.
Hmm.